Introducing the ADA-CAT Magic Slope Block. Slope is the angle that a surface makes relative to the force of gravity. A completely level surface has a slope of 0. Surfaces that have a direction that is downhill can be specified in terms of the angle that they make with a horizontal surface, which is useful for engineers and mathematicians, but others may find appreciating those angles difficult. Another way that slopes are specified is the amount of drop over the distance traveled. For example, if a surface drops 1 inch over a distance of 48 inches, it would be said to have a slope of 1 in 48. The ADA-ABA guidelines specify 4 slopes for the walking surfaces that will allow most individuals to move safely and with acceptable effort. An accessible path may have a slope of not more than 1 inch of drop for each 20 inches of travel, or 1 in 20. An accessible ramp or curb cut may have a slope that is not more than 1 inch of drop for each 12 inches of run, or 1 in 12. If a curb cut has sloped sides, also called flared sides in the ADA guidelines, those sides can have a slope of not more than 1 in 10. Finally, walking surfaces, especially flat ones, must have some side slope so that water drains from the sidewalk after a rain. This side slope, however, pulls wheelchairs sideways so that travel can be difficult for a person who is wheelchair mobile. To control for this, the ADA specifies that an accessible path can have a cross slope not greater than 1 in 48. While these numbers are easy to remember, they can be difficult to visualize and measure. How do we assess the slope surfaces in an environment? The ADA Magic Slope Block is a tool that, among other things, can be used in conjunction with a 24-inch spirit level to measure all of the ADA-ABA mandated slopes. By placing the appropriate surface of the Magic Slope Block on the walking surface and the 24-inch level on the slope block, compliance with each of the mandated slopes can be assessed. Ramps and the primary surface of curb cuts can be assessed by placing the Magic Slope Block with the arrows labeled 1 in 12 vertical. The sides of curb cuts and accessible paths can be assessed by placing the arrows labeled 1 in 10 and 1 in 20 vertically. For the sides of curb cuts, the level is placed on the higher surface. For accessible paths, the level is placed on the lower step of the block. To assess side slope, the block is placed on a flat surface and the level placed so that it extends to the uphill side of the block. Because this slope can be difficult to perceive in a complex environment, it's a good idea to measure both directions from the block. If this were all that the Magic Slope Block could do, it would be an amazing tool. But it is able to assess much more than this. The ADA-ABA guidelines specify that when a grating is on an accessible path, the maximum opening of the grating in the direction of travel can be no wider than 1/2 inch. The thickness of the Magic Slope Block is 1/2 inch, so if it fits into the openings of the grating with any free space, the grating is too wide. The ADA-ABA guidelines specify that the accessible path can have a vertical height change of no more than 1/4 inch. If the height change is between 1/4 and 1/2 inch, any portion above 1/4 inch must be beveled at no more than 1 in 2. Any vertical change greater than 1/2 inch must be treated as a ramp. One side of the Magic Slope Block has a reference line at 1/4 inch. When the slope block is placed on a walking surface next to a vertical offset, the higher surface cannot be above this reference line. When an elevator stops at a floor, the floor of the elevator and the floor of the landing are required to align within 1/2 inch. As already noted, the thickness of the Magic Slope Block is 1/2 inch, so the difference in level can be no more than the thickness of the slope block. Also, the gap between the elevator floor and the landing floor is allowed to be no more than 1 1/4 inches. The height of the step used to measure the 1 in 20 slope of an accessible path is 1 1/4 inches. So, if this side of the Magic Slope Block fits between the elevator and the landing, the gap is too great. When a platform lift arrives at a landing, the gap between the lift and the landing is allowed to be no more than 1 inch. On the Magic Slope Block, the portion of the block used to measure 1 in 10 slopes is 1 inch wide. If this fits between the platform lift and the landing, the gap is too wide. The ADA Magic Slope Block, in combination with the 24-inch level or by itself, is able to assess all 4 ADA/ABA mandated slopes, the width of gratings, the allowable range of vertical changes in walking surfaces, the alignment of elevators with their landings, the gap between the elevator and the landing, and the gap between the platform lift and its landing.